Okay. Obviously excited to get a big win on the road this past weekend down at South Florida. Very pleased with our preparations last week. Very pleased. All right, sorry guys, just got kicked off. Very, very pleased with the preparation going into the weekend. Pleased with the way the kids handled everything last week, and obviously that was reflected in the way we played on Saturday evening. So, liked a lot of things we did. Certainly, we had a lot of things to correct coming out of that game, but at the end of the day, just really excited to get a win on the road.
Coach, can you talk about how your improving running game can do a lot for you this week, pay some dividends against a team like Navy where you have to try to consume a little bit of clock?
Well, I mean, it was within our offense. We want to be able to do both. We want to be balanced, and certainly the ability to run the football enable us to throw the ball well Saturday. I think our offensive line is the biggest reason for the improvement in both our passing game and our running game. I thought that they played very, very well the second week for that group together, which I think was a big factor. Really cut down the MAs, played much more cohesive, just grouped together. And, so that resulted in, being able to run the football effectively. Obviously, being able to be productive offensively is going to be an important factor in this week's game. We struggled last year up there in Annapolis. And so hopefully we can get off to a much better start and be much more effective this year.
Coach, I was going to ask about the start to this game. I mean, I think they went 15 plays, 10-minute drive against Temple. How important is that first few drives? And last year they really jumped on you guys and kind of withstand that early start for Navy.
Well, much like UCF, it's especially on the road last year up in Annapolis. They're a team that really, comes out and really, goes right at their opponent. They were up 14-3 on Temple to start the game. The team that I saw in the Temple game is not the team that we all saw against BYU. And that's no surprise to any of us. The staff up there, Coach Niamatololo, they've been there for a long time. They've got a lot of pride in the way their team plays. They got a lot of pride in their program. Obviously, their culture is something that's been intact for a long time. And so we knew that they would get things going and be more like the Navy that we're used to seeing. But, they did. They started off very, very hot against Temple, very similar to the way they did against us last year. So I think, the big key for us is trying to get them off rhythm early in the ball game, try to get some stops, try to get them out of that whole, second and 6, second and 5, 3rd and 2, 1st and 10, get them off schedule. If you can do that, then you got a shot at getting a stop, getting a punt or whatever and getting the ball back for your offense.
Coach, they had Malcolm Perry, I think, at quarterback last year when you played them. They got a different quarterback, of course, but they seem to be doing basically what they've done for years.
Well, Malcolm Perry is a special player. And certainly probably the best player we faced all last year individually and, really made their offense go last year. They're a little different this year, but still they're what you expect when you line up against Navy. And Dallin Morris, he's a senior, has a tremendous amount of experience in that offense. They have 3 seniors and 2 juniors on the offensive line. They have a senior and a junior fullback. So they have a very old, experienced offense. So you're going to see, a lot of the same stuff, the inside outside veer, you're going to see the zone option, you're going to see the belly, you're going to see the toss play, you're going to see the double option, you're going to see the play action passes, you're going to see the base dives, you're going to see all the things that, that you encounter anytime you line up against this offense.
When you look at this matchup as well in the league as a whole, I mean, Navy's 2-0 in the league, and you are trying to get to 2-1. Is this kind of a next step with the program? Like, taking the South Florida win, but then the next game is one that's going to impact the standings and building on that, for both teams and for y'all specifically?
I mean, I think the key thing for us is it's the next game, and I know that's some people say, well, it's very cliche-ish of me to say as a coach, but it is. I mean, it's the only one we can control. Do we want to get a win this weekend? Absolutely. Do we want to get to 2-1 in the league standings? Absolutely. But you can't do anything about last week's game. That's over and done with. You can't do anything about any other game other than this game this week. So this is a huge game for us. It's the one we can control this week, and it's the one that we've got to prepare for. As we build the program, we've got to keep that mindset week to week, and then we'll reflect on kind of postseason where all these wins and losses, where they fall.
Coach, Jaquan McMillan didn't play in the first half. Was that health related? And then also Bivens and Hatfield, can you just give us an update on their status as well?
Jaquan, being a little cautious with him, he probably could have played more in the first half. Really at halftime, got him running around there before the second half started, and he really felt good. So we let him go there in the second half, and probably we were being more cautious than anything there in the first half with him. But he's recovered from his bumps and bruises well. And so, we have him back. Josiah Hatfield continues to progress. We'll see how he does this week. And then who was the third you asked about right there?
Bruce Bivens.
Bruce, again, very similar to Josiah, continues to progress. We'll see how he does in practice this week, and anticipating possibly having both of them on Saturday.
Coach, looking back at the UCF game, or South Florida game rather, it seems like their defense really didn't respect Holton's ability to get outside of the pocket and run with the ball while passing. They just didn't respect his ability to kind of create on the fly. Is that something y'all saw going into the game, or is that something just kind of developed?
Well, I mean, I think probably it developed more than what we saw going into the game. Certainly, we plan each week for Holton's mobility. It's a big part of our offense, whether it's designed, RPO, quarterback zone read kind of stuff, or if it is, the scramble kind of stuff where we really work a lot with our receivers of, how to operate within the scramble drill. We had a big mistake in the scramble drill against Georgia State that ended up in a turnover. So we spent a good bit of time last week just making sure everybody was on the same page. We protected Holton much better. And so I do think when we had those situations where he was scrambling, it was not early in the play. It was a little bit later in the play usually. It wasn't a deal where he was under so much pressure that he couldn't, keep his eyes downfield to make a couple of throws. And we got a couple of throws off that. The quarterback run game, most of that stuff came off of them overplaying the dive portion of a zone read deal.
Coach, I remember the last home game, the first home game, it was the build up to that, and you'd had some pauses, and that was kind of where you're at. Where are you at now? You think, you played a couple road games, 3 in a row. What have you learned through all of this? I mean, just kind of navigating week to week through the season, and compared to that first home game, it seems kind of so long ago at this point.
I don't know. 2020 is different than anything I've ever experienced. I don't know that you can, you say, what have you learned? I've learned to expect anything. Absolutely nothing surprises you. Anything on any given day could pop up, and you've got to be able to handle it and continue to move forward. And that's really what I've learned, is you can't control the vast majority of the things that you're dealing with.
And just a quick follow-up on that, the fans this week, first game, home game, to this one, you go from a few hundred to a few thousand. Will that make a big difference? Can you feed off that energy? Sure. What do you think about, having some actual real fans this time?
I think it's just going to be good to have more of the Pirate faithful in the stands. The last couple of games in Georgia and in Florida, and, those are two pretty hotbed states right now with the pandemic. We were able to experience, though, in those states, crowds at the games. So it's good that we're going to be able to experience that here at home in Greenville. It's still only going to be 3,500 fans or so, but at least it's 3,500 fans, and it's going to be people that are passionate about the Pirates. So I look forward to having it in the stands Saturday.
How did the victory dinner go?
Fantastic. The steak was perfect, the shrimp was solid, and the peanut butter pie was on point. The kids really enjoyed it.
Coach, can you talk about what your keys to victory are this week overall when you look at a team like Navy that consumes a lot of clock and runs the football an awful lot? What's your keys this week?
Well, I think, offensively for us, we got to maximize possessions. You're going to have limited possessions playing a triple option football team. So, we've got to make the most of each one. Does that mean we have to score on every possession? No, not necessarily, but we got to limit the number of 3 and outs. We got to try to take advantage of any positive field position when we get it. And we do that by just continuing to build on what we did last week. Last week, no turnovers, very few penalties, much improved execution, strong running game, did a good job with protection in the passing game. And, as a result, we were very productive offensively. So I think continuing to build on last week offensively is going to be important this week. Defensively, you hear coaches say stop the run. That's not realistic with a triple option football team. You're not going to stop it because what they do, you need to limit the big plays. You need to play, assignment sound. I think we've got to be extremely aggressive with how we attack their offense because they're going to be extremely aggressive. So we got to match their physicality and try to win that battle. And then I do think special teams is going to be important in this game because, just like last week, our average starting field position last week was the 40-yard line. Obviously, Donnie's a heck of a lot better play caller, with starting around the 40 or around midfield than he is coming off inside the 20. So the more positive field position we can give our offense and the more long fields we can give their offense, that's going to be important during the game.
Going on the offensive line, the last game, I think back at that first drive, Keaton Mitchell, had some runs to kind of get things going. And first quarter, he hit some big plays. Was that key for the offensive line, just confidence-wise, to get some positive momentum? How important do you think it was for that group, especially early?
I think it was. And I felt good about everything coming into the game. We had practiced well up front all week. Like I said many times on multiple interviews since Saturday night, I felt good about our team the last 48 hours of our preparation. So I felt like we were going to come out and do that. But still, coming out and doing it is really key because, our preparations have not been bad this year, but we've really struggled to show consistency on game day. And I think that just, that success early in the ball game gave a lot of guys that are very young in their playing career some confidence. And that confidence allows them to continue to have confidence in their play moving forward in the ball game. So I do think those first couple of drives, getting scores, each of the first 2 drives was important. I think getting the 4th and 2 from the 2 to score there on the second drive was important. And those things just built the confidence of the players on the field.
Coach, in a normal year, I know when you face a triple option, you kind of sprinkle in practice time here or there to prepare for it. Were you guys able to do that even with no spring football and just go in a few pauses in the preseason? Were you still able to get the amount of work you wanted to?
Not the amount of work we wanted to, but we were still able to get some work in. We've been preparing for this game staff-wise since Coach Harrell was hired, and certainly a background and a philosophy against the triple option was a big part of the hiring process of our new defensive coordinator. So we spent a good bit of time staff-wise. We have spent time with our players during preseason camp and also, throughout the season thus far. A big part of it has been, after practice on Sundays, we've kept the offensive scout team out there on the field and ran Navy plays after practice to make sure that they were prepared for this week. And I thought we looked pretty good on Sunday night as far as, you can never replicate what they do. But at least we had a decent look for our defense Sunday night with, at least we resembled Navy formationally and some of the motions and stuff.
If, as a follow-up to that, do you use Ryan on scout team this week or Hudson or a combination of guys?
We're using Ryan primarily. And I kind of joked. I was talking to Coach Harrell and some of those guys the other day. I was like, you know what? He would be a great triple option quarterback. Because he runs very well. He's got great feet, and he just has that savviness to him. So, he's not going to hear that because I think he's a good RPO quarterback too. But he'll give us a great look this week.
Coach, how big of a was it to hire Coach Blake Harrell, knowing that he knows about the option to face Navy every year?
Well, I think, like I said, it was a big part of the hiring process. Obviously, I've known Blake for a long time and respect very much his knowledge as it relates to defending the triple. He has experience beyond his time with me, with his time at Kennesaw State. But I think the other things too are, Roy Tesh, who was primarily with special teams last year, now he's coaching our defensive line, has extensive experience coaching the defensive front versus the triple option. Trip Weaver, who was with me at the Citadel, has significant experience defending the triple option. So now all of a sudden you have more people in the room that have experience versus this style of offense, and that's proven to be valuable already.
Everything that's been going on in 2020, how important has it been to have ways to help the kids, not only physically, but with their mental health this season? And are there any services set aside for that?
Well, I think that, it's probably been something that's been magnified more this year than maybe ever before. And certainly this has been something that you deal with every year as a head coach. But I think this year with quarantine, obviously it was a big concern of mine, when we're all away from each other. Now, dealing with things daily and weekly is just very challenging. You worry about, the kids, what's going on in their minds, what they're dealing with, because, we as adults, we're challenged to deal with some of the stuff we have to deal with. But, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, it's more than what they should be exposed to, but they're still exposed to it. So I think we're trying to do the best we can. I think it's something that's very much a focal point for our athletic department. We had a workshop kind of deal with the Helsinki family last Thursday night that was the entire athletic department. And certainly that's a story that's very tragic and also very eye-opening. I think a guy like Marcus Anderson, who's our character coach and spends countless hours counseling one-on-one with so many of our student athletes, has been very valuable and very important to our players this year. And then just the relationships that our coaches have with their position players. I think those are just things that we really try to, we try to spend time, talking about things other than football as we try to help them along their daily lives.
Coach, new coordinator, new alignment, new system on defense, new personnel. How much better do you feel about matching up with Navy in terms of what they present?
I don't know if I'll ever feel good about matching up with Navy. It's just, they're so good at what they do. They're so difficult to defend. And I said this last year, when we were running the triple at Lenore Ryan Citadel, we did a lot of stuff, clinic wise with their staff, because, we respect their staff as kind of the innovators, the cutting edge guys. And I think, you saw that a lot with their game plan last year, and just what little I know about how they prepared for us last year, just how they went back and, studying film from when I was at Lenore Ryan, just on what we might do. They're really good at what they do. And so do I feel like we're going to be more prepared this year? Yes. Do I feel like we're ever going to be, completely prepared or have mastered defending them? Nobody's going to ever master defending them. It's just, I think they've shown that, and just how they've responded to some of the adversity that they had early in the season, and how they played against Temple this past Saturday.
Coach, this is Bill Wagner. I'm with the Baltimore Sun. I cover Navy athletics. What have you seen out of Navy so far? They've been blown out badly in 2 non-conference games, but they've found a way to pull out 2 very tight conference contests.
Well, I think you can toss out the BYU game completely, and I think anybody that has any common sense and understood what the coaching staff had to go through, certainly I do as a head coach, they just were not prepared for that ball game. After watching that game, I said to myself, I wish that was the Navy team we're going to see, but it's not. That's not who we're going to see when we line up against them. And when I flip on the Temple game, I see about what I expect from Navy. I saw a team that is very, very good up front on the offensive line. They have that experience. Boy, they really come off the football just like a Navy team usually does. I think their fullbacks are fantastic, both of them. I think they have great feet. They hit it hard. They have great vision, good balance. I think the quarterback play has improved drastically since that game, way back in, early September. And I think that overall, special teams wise, I think they're as solid as anyone we've seen. I think their defense has improved drastically. I know they had a couple of guys out last week that I would expect back this week. So I think that you've seen a veteran coaching staff take a veteran team and overcome adversity and put a team on the field this last Saturday. That's what you expect.
Okay, we've got time for one more question for Coach. All right, well, Coach, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.